In AD 150, Marcus Aurelius said time is like a river, flowing in one direction. But maybe time is not like a river flowing in one direction. Well, maybe time can flow in either direction. For nearly 2,000 years, time flowing from the past into the future was good enough for most people, but it never explained what is time. Along came Isaac Newton, and he brilliantly described gravity. But again, Newton's description of the effects of gravity did not explain what was its cause. Not until Albert Einstein brought time, space, and gravity together did we start to understand how time and gravity were linked. But the concept of Einstein's space-time still causes confusion today. Neil deGrasse Tyson beautifully simplifies it. If I say, "See you tomorrow at noon," you immediately ask, where? Or if I say, "Meet you in the bar," you ask, when? Suddenly we get it. We all live in space-time. But Einstein added gravity to that equation. Imagine the fire triangle: heat, fuel, oxygen. Einstein's physics triangle is gravity, space, and time. All three are interlocked. Alter one and you mess up the others. This was brilliantly proved here, on a tiny island off the coast of West Africa on the 29th of May 1919. UK mathematician Arthur Eddington observed the known position of stars were mysteriously moved by the mass of the sun. This gravitational lensing was only observable during a total eclipse, hence its location, watching a solar totality from Principe Island in Africa. Now we knew that the gravitational mass of the sun bends space and hence time. Einstein correctly described four-dimensional space-time not as rigid but as flexible. Space-time tells matter how to move. Matter tells space-time how to curve. But he painted his theory of general relativity with a broad brush, ignoring forces inside matter. Jack Sarfatti did not ignore the strong quantum electrodynamic forces between charges that comprise matter. He says a UFO modifies its confined gravity near field by manipulating quantum electrodynamic forces inside its metamaterial fuselage, controlling its weightless geodesic trajectory with tiny amounts of electrical power. Is this how UFOs fly? They appear to defy normal physics. If they can manipulate gravity in space, it's logical they can also go anywhere in time. Jack Sarfatti, as a teenager, was contacted by a mechanical device from the future, telling him over his parents' phone that time-traveling UFOs were real, and asking him as a kid to start studying the physics of time travel. The voice from the future he spoke to in 1953 also said in 20 years' time, "You will meet others." Other kids selected to research time travel. So since that encounter, Jack has been seeking answers to what he was asked to do. In part 2 of my conversation with Jack Sarfatti, Jack tells us how exactly 20 years later, a CIA-funded program called SRI contacted him. There he met astronaut Edgar Mitchell, physicist Hal Puthoff, and parapsychologist Russell Targ. All were the UFO selected kids from 20 years ago, now for the first time in the same room.
We've recently discovered that time travel is real.
Really?
That is it real, it's operational.
Well, what's time? What isn't time a human construct?
No, I'm talking about now physical. I'm talking about the space-time continuum of Einstein's relativity, gravity, the modern theories of gravity that began with Einstein in 1915 in his general relativity theory.
Right.
And we now know, because of the observations of what used to be called flying saucers. What now they call UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena.
Or anomalous phenomena.
Anomalous phenomena.
Right.
That for almost 80 years, there was a deliberate stigma attached to it by the American military-industrial complex, and I guess some of the foreign intelligence organizations also, because it was a military threat, which they did not understand the physics of it, and so they tried to cover it up. But now we know since Leslie Kean and Ralph Blumenthal in December of 2017, the famous New York Times article about the Pentagon, making it that there really is something going on. That started it. Oddly enough, I was with Hal Puthoff and Kit Green in London in late October of 2017, when they were having phone conversations between London and Washington, D.C., I think probably with Leslie Kean and God knows who else, creating that article about the reality of the UFO.
Why was it important in 2017 to reveal what they had known for decades publicly?
Well, that's a good question, and I'm not privy to all that. But I'm just guessing now, just as an educated guess, that there was a whistleblower that contacted Christopher Mellon, right?
Right.
And I think so. He somehow, it's just it was being leaked. It's kind of like the Pentagon Papers, right? With Dan
so the
Ellsberg.
films existed. He was going to leak it. Christopher Mellon organized the leak, or managed it.
Yeah, I think so. That's my impression. Yeah. And I'm not,
we don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
This is just public knowledge.
Right.
And by the way, those films, the Tic Tac films, they were out on the internet for years before that.
Right.
But people didn't pay attention to them. And
right.
So I think that's part of the problem. In any case, the point is this. The point I'm making is that my role in all this, I was a student at Cornell University in the late 1950s with the professors that built the atomic bomb. If you see the movie Oppenheimer, those are all the guys I learned physics from in the 50s. Even before that, I must say, okay, this was Jacques Vallée and Eric Davis have written called High Strangeness. Right. In the years before that, when I was a child in the late 1940s, I'm born in 1939. In the late 1940s, my grandfather worked for the United States Army in Manhattan in the Quartermaster Corps, and I was living with my grandparents, and I was about 9, 10 years old. So this is like 1949 to 1950, only 2 or 3 years, 4 years maybe after Roswell.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And I would go down after school to visit my grandfather at the Army Quartermaster Corps.
Oh, right.
This is, and in fact, it was like my playground.
Yeah, it was full of kids, interesting stuff.
Well, they had the laboratories for the cold weather, the warm and hot weather. Right. In any case, I was given free reign.
Oh, wow.
It was a playground for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was racks of gear. And
yeah, the lab. There was it was a high learning environment. I was given free reign to wander around this was over a year or two.
Right.
Okay. So then, as I'm a bit older, and when I'm 13 years old, and I get this strange telephone call from what says it is a conscious computer on board a spacecraft from the future.
This is in the 1950s.
This is 1953 or so.
Before Sputnik.
What?
Before Sputnik.
Wait before Sputnik. But this is at the time when all the UFO stuff flapped.
But there was nothing human in orbit.
Well, I don't know, but I'm just telling you that there was a cold, metallic voice sounding like Stephen Hawking's voice today, metallic, saying it was a conscious computer on board a spacecraft, and that they were contacting me and some other what they call bright receptive minds.
Oh.
And they wanted to teach us their technology.
Great.
Okay.
How inspirational.
Okay, so and they said I had to agree to it by my own free will.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I remember being fascinated by it. I was very suspicious. I thought, who could be doing this? And
what did you tell your mother?
well, wait. So I said I didn't tell her anything.
Oh, good.
I said yes. But I was thinking no. It was like a split thing. I felt an electric shock go through the base of my spine up to back. And they said good. We'll send a ship to pick you up in 10 minutes. Go to your fire escapes. I know I had a fire. We'll send a ship to pick you up in 10 minutes.
Yes.
At that point, I got very scared. Oh yeah, but thrilled.
Right.
And I ran. I was living on the 3rd floor,
Right.
Nostrand Avenue in Flatbush, Brooklyn. And I had, it was a summer night, it was a beautiful night.
Right.
And I quickly ran down the 3 flights of stairs, into the street. To look for
wait for it.
No. Let me tell the story. You can't. Yeah. And I found three of my friends. I found my friend Winky, real name Alan Bro, a tough Irish kid.
Right.
Okay, I mean like a fighter kid,
Yeah.
And 2 Italian brothers, Norman and Neil Legata. And like big. I think Neil was a big guy. He was like 14, big Italian kid,
guy.
And his little brother,
the kid,
and said, "Hey, flying saucers, they're gonna come and get me." So all 4 of us as kids, we went upstairs. We got to the fire escape. We wait. Nothing happened. At least that's one of my memories. Nothing happened. Okay. Oh, I forgot to also the most important thing.
Yeah.
On that phone call.
Yes.
Was that they said. When I said yes, they said, you will begin to meet the others in 20 years.
Others?
The other kids they were contacting.
They were contacting more than... There was a group contacting.
The group of what they called bright receptive minds.
Did you ever meet them?
And now it gets strange. I'm in bed, and Sharon's mother brings in the San Francisco Chronicle Sunday paper. Just in the paper, and now it's going to get very weird. I open up the paper. I open up the San Francisco Chronicle Sunday magazine.
Yeah.
I open up, and it's a big article. Stanford research, SRI, studying psychics, including Uri Geller.
Oh.
Early Monday morning, I call SRI. Okay. Right away, I get through to an Irishman, a guy named Brendan O'Regan.
Well,
okay. Who was the assistant to Edgar Mitchell, who was running the program. And of course, this is a Central Intelligence Agency project, which I didn't
know at
the time. But we now know it's all right.
Yes.
CIA.
Right.
Yeah, Russell and
Russell Targ.
And Hal Putnam.
Right.
And so this with his Irish accent from Dublin, he says, Dr. Sarfatti. It is Irish. I can't do that.
All right.
We were hoping you would call us.
You did.
Yeah, but you feel how?
But this is
wait a minute.
A psychic.
No, well, first of all.
Right.
Okay. I mean, how do they know I'm going to pick up the newspaper?
Right.
Okay. And read this and give them a call. You say, we were hoping you would call us.
Well.
Now, remember when your guy was Ron Evans talking about time?
Yes.
It's the time. Okay, wait. So keep that in mind.
Time.
Time travel. We're hoping you would call us. Right. Can you come up to SRI? We'd like to talk to you.
Ooh.
Now, if this doesn't sound like weird Twilight Zone,
right?
Or the Outer Limits, this is paranormal stuff. I didn't quite realize everything then, but it was pretty spooky, right? How did they? Oh, and they said they knew where I was.
No.
They said it's a short drive from your place.
How do you know where I am?
Well, obviously surveillance. I mean, it is a CIA project too, right? Okay. Right. And the first thing I meet Brendan, and first thing he takes me to the a course from SRI is the Institute of Noetic Science, and I'm introduced to Edgar Mitchell, the astronaut who walked on the moon.
Sure, Edgar.
Okay, who's running the project?
Oh, right.
Running the project.
Right.
And then I'm taken to, and I have conversations with Brendan, and somehow then remembered that was 20 years later.
Right.
The phone call. I'm going to meet the others in 20 years. And I tell Brendan about the phone call.
Does the 20 years work
This is
out?
20 years.
No. It's 20 years since the phone call?
It's 1973, 1953. That sounds like 20 years to me.
Okay.
But who was there,
beside
was Hal Puthoff,
yeah.
Russell Targ,
Right.
and a bunch of psychology people I don't remember. But
Right.
And they had there was a tape recorder. It was being tape recorded.
Right.
I was there for several hours. And part of that tape recording, and you will hear Russell Targ starts talking about this crazy Jim Hurtak, this rabbi involved with the UFOs and flying saucers and contact, and you will hear Russell Targ say, "We think flying saucers are time travel machines from the future," and you'll hear me talk the story.
The phone call.
You'll hear it then in 1973 at the CIA session that's being recorded. Okay.
Let me just tell you one other thing. And I'm just, take this with a grain of salt. It's pure speculation. It's a hunch. It's just intuition. Okay. And I can't back it up. Okay. But the feeling that I have, which I've been getting over the past 2 years every now and then, it's kind of like I indulge myself in sort of a private fantasy trip. I don't really, do it with a sense of humor. But the thing that I have is that maybe suppose these UFO people do exist, for the sake of argument. I think they're probably men, but from the future.
Or it might be us.
It might be us in the future. I think I see it as kind of bootstrap effect, sort of self-consistent effect that in order for them to exist, certain ideas. Well, not only that, but they have to develop the technology by which they exist, and they'll actually put these ideas into the heads of like Simon Einstein or even Newton.
This is one of Geller's things too, isn't it? The future civilization is from the saucers back.
Well, that's what I think.
I'd never heard that from Geller. Yes, I've heard Geller say that these people came from the future.
Okay, well, you see, the point is this. I can show how present-day physics, generally, the general theory of relativity, allows at least the possibility for such a thing. It doesn't violate any physical law.
Hal and I are very sympathetic to that. In fact, our current pitch is one of the things we're exploring is that all of the mental phenomena, clairvoyance, telepathy, and so forth, really evidences are explainable by precognition.
There it is, okay? This is fact. You cannot explain this away as some kind of, even if the CIA the CIA in 1953 was not smart enough to know what's going to happen 20 years later. It's got to be time travel. It's the only way to explain it, all right? And I challenge any skeptic to come on with me and let's debate these facts, because there's evidence. It's hardcore evidence that'll stand up in a court of law.
Sure.
Okay, all right.
So when little green men travel from a distant planet to Earth, how did they get here?
Well, first of all, I don't think our little green men are coming from a distant planet. They're coming from a future Earth, because it's time travel. The universe, however, is vast, and there are little green men or purple men or God knows what on other planets and other star systems, that's for sure, and they can all get here by warp drive. But I think the ones that we're in contact with, at least the ones that I was in contact with in 1953, are future descendants of ours from the future, actually artificial intelligences.
They're humans.
Well, humans may have made them, but the one that I had direct contact with said it was a conscious artificial intelligence, part of like a Tic Tac flying saucer craft. So the point.
Why has it come back to our age?
Well, one thing maybe
doesn't that break the whole continuity of time?
Absolutely, you got it just oppositely wrong. That's called the Novikov self-consistency principle.
Right.
And the point is, they are back here in order for them to exist in what Igor Novikov, who's a physicist in Moscow. He may not be alive now. Worked with Kip Thorne. You know,
Right.
Kip Thorne, Interstellar, he's talking about these time loops. The same thing I'm talking about is the basic plot of Interstellar. And the point is, they came back so that I and others I work with can create them in a self-consistent loop in time. And things happen in the present, not only because of things that have happened already in the past, but because of things that will happen in the future. And that is basically what quantum entanglement is all about, according to the interpretation of Yakia Aharonov, who worked with David Bohm and Lenny Susskind, people like that. And in fact, for this back from the future, what's called weak measurement two-state vector quantum theory, President Obama, when he was president, actually gave a medal to Yakia Aharonov for this back from the future theory, which I also independently got, but it's not quite the same mathematical formalism that Yakia Aharonov got.
Right.
But we were all part of the same mix of ideas.
Right. Right.
You know.
So why would they come back for? They need to make sure that the past happened.
Well, they wouldn't exist. It's all what's called the self-consistent loop in time. Right. It's kind of like Terminator, but Terminator,
right?
Except that instead of killing us, they want to help us. The other reason they may be back is that because we know from Rendlesham, we know from Rendlesham that they neutralize nuclear weapons.
Right.
Hopefully, our visitors from the future, who I'm going to help create with other physicists,
right.
Hopefully they have neutralized all our nuclear weapons so that we cannot destroy ourselves as what seems to be possible because of what's happening in the Ukraine with the war with Russia. And where...
Do you think there's possibly multiple future paths? And they need to, or wouldn't they know that we? Oh, they need to come back because they know what they did worked.
Prevents, hopefully, yeah. If the best case scenario, there's only one unique. I'm not talking about many worlds now. That's another possibility.
Right.
Everything I'm saying can be wrong.
Right.
Because if it's good physics, it's got to be what's called Popper falsifiable. Mm-hmm. So right now, I'm giving one particular narrative, which is an optimistic narrative, that even though things look pretty bad right now,
right.
It may turn out to be okay, because even if we try to have a nuclear war, the nukes won't go off.
Right.
That's the best case scenario. On the other hand, I may be totally wrong, and we may all be dead in a few months.
Right, and maybe the people from the future are there because we are dead. We don't know.
No, that wouldn't make any. That'd be illogical.
Right.
That's illogical.
Right.
If they are from the future, then we survive because we created them. They told me in 1953 that I'm their creator.
Right.
Okay. So hopefully that's why I guess we should be sort of optimistic.
Right.
Wow. Jack really is an optimist, and I hope it works out. Hey viewers, are you enjoying these chats with Jack Sarfatti? I am. He's a mine of information and certainly likes to share it. So there's lots more to look forward to here. Jack deep dives into the physics, and I ask him questions about Back to the Future. So don't go anywhere. Please give this film a thumbs up now to tell YouTube that this is the type of content that you enjoy watching. And remember to subscribe or join me on Patreon for advert-free early access to all these films. Because of you, the truth is out there. Hey viewers, this is Wiley and me editing in the future. I wanted to talk to you about nuclear weapons. I've had this idea around, and it kind of resonates with what Jack says, that maybe us from the future have already come back and neutralized nuclear weapons. Let's look at some of these facts. Britain, for example, has Trident nuclear missiles, which are hydrogen bombs, and every 10 to 12 years they need to be refurbished with something called tritium gas to actually make them work. But the tritium plant at Chapel Cross has been closed for over 10 years. The United States no longer has the ability to produce the cores for new weapons. Maybe Los Alamos can make a few, but it's only a laboratory, it's not a production facility. And last time I visited an ICBM silo, it was, the kind of kit from the 1960s and 70s. They didn't even have GPS. It was inertial navigation. Where are the new missiles? Is it possible that nuclear weapons today are actually a sham weapon system? China, Russia, the United States are working on hypersonic missiles with conventional warheads. Nuclear weapons might not work anymore. Of course, it's highly speculative of me to even mention that, because nuclear weapons still might be the deadly doomsday weapon that we all dread. But hey, isn't what Jack Sarfatti is saying really fascinating and inspiring and thought-provoking? Jack really likes to push boundaries, which is great, because that's how new ideas come to light. So I hope you're enjoying these films from my meeting with Jack. There's more to come. Stay tuned.